Alright, the Reds, it's Talking Reds. Gareth Roberts, Lizzi Doyle, and we're talking about the Reds because that's the general idea, isn't it? Thursday's Talking Reds is in association with Luke 1977. These fellas, this is a new top that they sent me and I'm banging to it, to be honest. It's called the Martin Pratt, which I think is a nod to Coronation Street's Martin Platt. Yeah. So we're going to have a bit of Corrie chat. To start off, because I know you love us not talking about football. But yeah, 15% off full price gear at luke1977.com if you use the code TAW15 at checkout, and you can get 20% off full price gear if you go to our subscribers group on Facebook, find the post on there. There's a different code for if you subscribe, you get 20% off the gear. And there's loads of nice stuff on there. There's a new collection on there, basically. But yeah, Martin Pratt, who's your favourite Corrie character ever?
Oh my God, that's on the spot, isn't it?
I know. Do you want me to tell you mine?
Go on, yeah.
Mine's Jack Duckworth.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jack
I love
sound.
Jack Duckworth because I just thought, like, you know, he was always like, he was sound and he was funny and he was always like, you know, like he always like seemed like he was like, oh God, Vera and all that. But when Vera died though, he was absolutely gutted and it was horrible. Yeah, and like he was a boss fella. He just seemed a boss fella. I know he's not real. I mean, like the man was real. But I don't know, I feel like there are people like Jack Duckworth about. It was a realistic character, do you know what I mean?
I'm a big fan for the entertainment of Gail Platt. So Gail Platt's is a firm favourite of mine, I'd say. Yeah, Luka Modric, yeah. Big fan of Gail. Maybe they'll make one version for me and I can have a Gail Pratt top. So Luke, if you're listening.
Yeah, if you're watching, Luke Roper.
Yeah. Big fan on Corrie. Like, I think all the old ones sound like I love it when Rita has a bevy and has a sing-song in the Rovers. I like that. Bill Kenwright's been in Corrie, hasn't he? He's Betty's son.
Yeah.
Betty's hot pots and all that, yeah. Big Corrie fan.
Yeah, Steve McDonald as well.
Oh, he's funny.
He's quality just for his faces, isn't he? And Jim.
Because, I love Jim. Jim's the right answer.
Jim, because it meant that, you know, for years and years, I've had the chance to use my impression of Jim to take the piss out of Craig Hanna.
Well, the thing is,
lucky to be alive, so you are, Elizabeth. Now you can tell me how shit that was.
Craig tried to take the piss out of me by saying my full name, but he doesn't mean it like Jim McDonald, but he goes like, Elizabeth, and I'm just like, shut up, Jim, like, who are you? Stop calling me Elizabeth.
I'm in a big house. Right, okay, the Reds.
What's happening?
The Reds have announced a pre-tax profit of 42 million quid, which I'm assured is good. Revenues have rocketed to 533 million pounds. They spent 223 million pounds on players. The wage bills soared, which you would expect when they've won what they've won. Bank debt has been slashed to 12 million pounds. 20 million pounds repaid to FSG for the main stand loan. Basically good financial figures. I've got to say it's not really my bag. I still love football, players, goals, that kind of stuff, and I know finance has massively come into football over the years, but I'm not your finance man, basically. But we are doing a section on the weekend that aren't we about to? Yeah,
so if you listen to the Kieran Maguire podcast with Andy Heaton about Man City and financial fair play, it's the same person basically, but he hosts the Price of Football podcast. He's a football finance expert at the Uni Liverpool. He's dead sound, really good. So John chats to him for 10 minutes about what all the numbers mean and stuff, and basically I got a text from him saying, hey, the numbers are good, and I was like, but you know what it is for me, because I'm like you, I don't really understand the little ins and outs and the details, but all I want to know really is that we're sound and we're okay, because this, whether I'm interested or not, will affect what happens on the pitch. Like, you look at what's happening at Man United with like the Woodwards and all stuff like that, you know, Arsenal are having a couple of issues. Even like Everton can't go out and spend big. They've had the weird like Usmanov thing going on. We're solid, and it goes back to that. Not just about the 11 players on the pitch, not about Jurgen Klopp. When we talk about Michael Edwards, when we talk about the backroom staff, it's not just that, it's the whole operation. This club is running the smoothest I've ever seen it, and I don't think it's any coincidence that it's in correlation to what's happening on the pitch now as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's what we always wanted as well. I mean, what I would say about it is that, you know, back in the days of Hicks and Gillette, the dark days, when we were out on the streets protesting and all the rest of it, one of the reasons we got the Anfield app, to be honest, is that at the time we felt some of the mainstream media wasn't reporting what it should have been at the time. But I remember then, you know, like, people weren't asking for the moon. They were just saying, I want Liverpool to be able to make the money it should be making as a massive football club and then spending it, basically. And that's it. And, you know, like, some people have had a go at FSG over the years and things like that. They want them to bankroll the club in the way maybe Man City has been and things like that. For me, I remember those days and I just think, well, we weren't saying that then though. No. We were just saying we wanted to compete, we wanted to be where it should be. And right now that's exactly what it feels like. And it doesn't feel like, in the past it felt a bit corner shop at times. It felt a bit like we didn't take advantage of our high points. We won the European Cup in 2005 and it felt like we didn't really make the most of that. Whereas now, it does seem like the commercial team we've got knows what they're doing. Big deals are being struck. We've got the Nike deal and stuff like that. We're obviously moving on the Anfield road as well. And like you say, you've got Kirby training, development as well. Everything just seems to be pointing in the right direction. And that's fantastic for us as fans, which leads nicely onto another story that's kicking about this morning, which is that the old chestnut, the oldest chestnut of them all, basically one of our best players has been linked with Real Madrid. I mean, what a fucking surprise. Like, I've used this before, right? But last time we won the league, 1990, 30 years ago, in the run-up to us actually winning it, so round about this time of year, maybe a little bit later, one of our best players was obviously John Barnes. Guess what club he was linked to?
Madrid.
Real Madrid. It's gone on forever, this. Do you know what I mean? And so, like,
Harry Kane was linked with, I think, in the run-up to the Champions League final last year.
Pinches of salt everywhere, but he's been linked this morning. £126 million move to Real. It's Spanish press, and then it's regurgitated by some of the knobhead papers in England, basically. I mean, the idea behind it is that Bale is going to go, finally going to go. That's been on the cards for ages. Zidane really wants Mbappe, but they can't afford him, and that Mo is the next step down, if you like, for them in terms of financially what they can go for. Now, I think it's been linked to the fact that Gary Neville earlier in the week was saying I could see him going, and so that's where we are. I mean, nothing's been said by Liverpool, nothing's been said by Mo Salah. I mean, what do you make of it? Can you see him going, or do you think he's going to stick around?
I can see both, and the thing is, like, we done a video like about 2 weeks ago about the idea of Timo Werner and stuff, and I briefly mentioned about maybe one of them moving on, and I got absolutely pelters. But the thing is, like, as good as we are, as amazing as we are, these players aren't from Liverpool. There's literally trends, probably Henderson and Milner, who I'd say would be absolute out-and-out ones that you'd say to stay. There's no loyalty in football anymore, and the thing is, I don't even mean it horrible, but like, look at Cristiano Ronaldo. He could have stayed at Real Madrid to the end of his career, but he still went on a move to be in another team in a top league to just get another experience and be the top man somewhere else. It's fine I'll be gutted, I'll be absolutely gutted, but if he does want to go and do that at some point, then it's one of those where you hold your hands up and you say, you know what, you've been brilliant, you've been one of the best strikers we've ever seen. If you want a new experience at one of the biggest clubs in the world, then okay. And people think me saying that is me saying that we're still smaller than the Madrids and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about these players. You'll get the opportunity to play for two massive clubs.
You can't hold them against the will. I mean, you sort of saw that, didn't you?
I'm not saying he will, by the way, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Like I think maybe one more season is my personal view on it, just because I think he will want one more move, and why not? They only get one career, and like you say, there's no need to have, like, he's had a great time here, he scored a lot of goals, his levels have gone up, his status has gone up. But if he fancies one more move in what is a short career, I don't begrudge him, to be honest. I mean, we saw what happened with Coutinho, where we tried to sort of, for a while, fight against his will, and then it all got a bit nasty and a bit horrible and left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. We had a similar situation with Suarez at one point, obviously, where he was talking about striking and things like that. I just think where we are now, you've got to sort of plan for it, and I think the good thing is, we talked about how well-run Liverpool are. If there's any sniff that he wants to go, I think they know already, and they're already preparing for it. And you mentioned Timo Werner. We're going to talk about him in a minute, because we're just going to have a little bit of a break in the middle like we always do. And the break in the middle this time is, we got an exclusive interview. John Gibbon's been working hard on this one together. Got Peter Moore. I'm sure you all know who he is. He talks in a certain way normally, of course. So the good thing about this is that John got him in for a desert island goals, which is a little bit different in that you talk about basically your favourite goals and the ones you would take to a desert island, similar to the desert island discs idea. Not that we nicked the idea or Andy did. But anyway, so yeah, Peter Moore, here's a clip of that. See what you reckon of it.
It's phenomenal when you go, and again, most recently Cape Town, you talk to somebody. A gentleman came up to me, and he was there, probably in his late 70s, he said, I followed Liverpool since the 65 FA Cup final. I've never been to Liverpool. But I can tell you every team, every kick, every player, and I live and die for this football club, but I've never had the money to go to Liverpool. And so you hear those stories all around the world. We have over 300 official Liverpool supporters clubs, and there's probably as many, again, that are unofficial, to your point. Dedicated individuals who maybe their love of Liverpool has been passed down from their dad in the 60s and 70s that have taken up the mantle. United States is a great example. We've got multiple clubs now in cities where just one club isn't big enough because of the geographical size of a city. So the South Side's got a Liverpool supporters club, the North Side's got a Liverpool supporters club. And as I said, I make it my business because I owe it to them wherever I go, whether I'm on holiday or they're attending a game or attending a conference or something, to go seek them out and make a presentation and then take questions. And there's only certain stuff I can answer, but I think they appreciate the fact the CEO will come. Yeah. It's always a good night, a few beers. It's always some dive bar somewhere, and but you'll recall when I first got here, I coined this phrase: "Local heart, global pulse," and it sounds marketing to a lot of people, but that's exactly what we are. And one of the things that when you talk to these people, thousands of miles away, they not only have a love for the club, they also have a love for the city and everything. The two are inextricably intertwined. And so you talk to them and they'll tell you about the city, and they'll tell you about the waterfront and European capital of culture and the history of the city. And many of them, of course, have made pilgrimages here and have attended games. And what we do is we've done a lot of research, and we did an economic impact report on what the club means to the city, and it's substantial. Nearly £500 million a year come into this city via Liverpool Football Club, with hotels and transportation. But we found that people came for the football and then came back for the city. Absolutely. They'd come for a game and they go, this is not what I thought it was, and bring their wife, bring their girlfriend, bring whoever back for a long weekend in Liverpool. And I think that we take our role as a football club as the ambassadors for the city. Seriously, as well as I do. You jump in a cab and somebody says, where are you from? And you say Liverpool. Yeah. The conversation immediately goes to football. Yeah. Immediate. Used to be the Beatles. but now it's football. And we take that responsibility seriously as a football club, because we know we're not only ambassadors for football, but for the city itself.
Okay, so that is the exclusive there with Peter Moore. That's out there for free, so you can go and have a listen to the whole thing there if you liked what you saw from that clip. Loads of the stuff's out there free right now at the moment, because we are having some issues with the website and app, as you may know. When we've got more information on that, we will be updating you. We are working all day and night, stressing like fuck, to be honest, trying to get it working, and our partners around that are trying to get it working too. Like I say, when we've got something to say on it, we'll say it. I know lots of you are keen to get an update. In the meantime, though, our stuff is on Spotify, on YouTube, on the free feed as well, across the podcast app. So just go and fill your boots if you don't normally subscribe, because it's a good opportunity to get stuck into the stuff that's normally behind the paywall, including this Peter Moore stuff. I mentioned that we were going to talk about Timo Werner. You've probably seen it. There's been more and more on this now, really gathering some pace, the idea of him coming to Liverpool. We mentioned before that, maybe a top star leaves at some point. Maybe they don't, though, and it's just a case of getting someone in who's 24 years old, bedding him in, getting him ready, challenging those front three, and just basically making Liverpool better, which is what we all want. And he's been fluttering his eyelashes for a while now. There's more stuff kicking around on social media last night, and then this morning there's a piece in The Athletic from Cy Hughes and Rafa Honigstein, and it's basically saying that there's loads of links between Klopp, his agents, and that basically they expect that there will be talks sort of around this time, stroke March, which is when these things tend to happen, because I think the clause in his contract, you can get him for 50 million, it's until April. So, and then after that, something changes in it. I'm not quite sure. But it does seem that, if Liverpool want him, if Liverpool want to make this move, then, they can go and do it. And what's interesting in the piece is that it says that Barcelona and Man United have already made a move, but that he personally, Werner, wants Liverpool and is waiting for their approach. And it was interesting and good and funny and you know, nice to see someone step away from the dead serious football world. Leipzig last night on their official Twitter account, like Man United fans were doing, you know, all the welcome to Old Trafford and all that kind of stuff. And like they were replying with all these tweets with like gifs of gifs of them going like this and all that, and saying things like, you know, why would he go to a club in the Europa League and stuff like that. And it sounds, isn't it? Like, you know, like I say, I think sometimes it's all too serious. Yeah. And so it was a good laugh. Go and look them tweets up. But have you watched any of them yet? Have you seen any clips of them? Have you been Timo Werner?
No, I only watched
looks the business.
I mean, yeah, I've seen a couple of YouTube highlights like not too long ago. I mean, I watched them against Spurs. He's good, isn't he?
Yeah, fast, he's strong, good finish.
I was watching him and I was like, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of you. Yeah. I'll definitely have a bit of you. It's just, for me, sometimes these names and links, they happen and there's something happening, but you never necessarily know exactly what that is. And I think there's a difference. It would be stupid if Liverpool weren't interested in him and weren't in talks with him, because what probably happens is, I imagine the club is in talks with a lot of people, a lot of agents, a lot of players, and is interested in a lot of them, because that's just, I'm guessing that's just how it works.
Yeah.
But I think people attribute that to like a transfer target rather than a transfer interest. I think there's like two different things. I spoke to a couple of journalists about this and now they get really quite frustrated that people bombard them and think it's a target, but it's not. We should be interested in him. We should be interested in Kylian Mbappe. We should be interested in Jadon Sancho. We're the best team in the world. And there's just literally full stop next to that. We're the best team in the world. We should be looking and talking to all of these next sort of future stars, because whether one of ours goes at some point, which I think they will, I don't know what point that will be and for what reason. Even if they don't, if it's for like a little bit of like the Minamino thing where he's come in for the stage that he has, he's bedding in a little bit, and then hopefully next season onwards we'll start to see him be involved a bit more, and that's the thing. It might not be that they're involved in a first 11 straight away, but the thing is, we know that they'll get games. We need another person who's on a level or just down a level from the front three to fill in. That's, as much as I love him, that isn't Divock Origi. We need someone that isn't that much of a drop off. There's a need for Origi, I think, in our squad, but I don't think he's the next option.
Well, we've got a question. Here's the idea. You should know by now, if you regularly watch this, that you can leave a question in the comments.
I've just seen it.
And nice job for picking this one, Josh. But you can leave a question in the comments, and we'll have a read through and pick one out and talk about it on the next day's Talking Reds. Bit of a dearth of good ones in the comments yesterday, it's fair to say. I had a look myself and I thought, I'm not sure we can do any of these, but Josh has wrote this one down, so we are where we are. And the question is, I think Rob is great, but why does he strangely remind me of Beaker from the Muppets? Which is harsh.
I didn't watch the Muppets. I don't know who that is.
I think he's more, mind your hand there.
I know, nearly broke my nails, I've just had them done.
I think he's more, so you know Bert and Ernie? Of Sesame
yeah,
Street.
I do, yeah. Oh, that's who I thought he meant.
I think more that, you know, that's more accurate than Beaker. But Rob is great. I don't know what you want us to do with this question. Rob is great. He came on the Ireland tour, and like he really lifted my spirits just being Rob. He's a funny bastard.
I love Rob.
And he's great on the footy as well.
In Madrid, we were in Madrid together, and like oh God, he's probably gonna kill me for saying this, but like he went to the toilet, but it was like a porter cabin. So what we done is we held the door, so we couldn't get out, but he didn't understand that that's what we were doing. And then one of us was shaking, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he was like really freaked out. But it turns out that it was his, I think he's 10 or 6. His 10-year-old son is
Rafa.
Yeah, how old is he?
About that. No, he's younger
6,
than that,
is he? Is he about 6?
No one knows.
Anyway, he's got a young son, and it turns out that he was the one holding the door, and you should have heard the expletives that come out of Rob's mouth, showing him when he come out the toilet. And I was just like, Rob Gutman, he just doesn't give a shit, but in the nicest way possible. He's boss. Even if he is a Muppet, he's our Muppet.
So yeah, leave us a question for tomorrow. That was a bit wild, wasn't it? But you know, coronation treat, Rob Gutman, and a little bit of football. What more do you want from your Talking Reds? That has been Thursday's Talking Reds. Up the fucking Reds.